Hi, you just caught me setting up for the video for today. Just wanted to say thanks to Hotshot TCG for lending me these VSTAR cards. They're a little hard to come by, so if you want to check out his channel, that would be great. It's a little bit better than this one. Today we are going to be taking a look at the second VSTAR that has been released on PTCGO. It is Glaceon VSTAR, obviously paired up quite nicely with Leafeon. Glaceon is very, very powerful, and to be honest, I actually have enjoyed playing this deck way more than playing with Leafeon, and I think this might be the better one, although to be fair, Leafeon's pretty good as well. I'm not sure exactly. Anyway, let's talk about Glaceon. It's a 260 HP Water-type VSTAR Pokemon. Gives up 2 prizes instead of 3, which is very, very nice, and it has 2 attacks. Its first attack, Icicle Shot, for 2 water and a colorless energy, deals 180 damage, and then during your opponent's next turn, your opponent's defending Pokemon can't retreat. That's super, super good. It's going to 2-shot every single Pokemon in the game, and it's also going to prevent a lot of mobility. Lots of decks relying on cards like Air Balloon, which will obviously retreat free, or Tower of Waters to move their Pokemon out of the active. So Icicle Shot might just force a 2-shot when your opponent doesn't want it. Then it's got a second attack, a VSTAR power, which means we can only use this attack once per game, but you know what, I think once is more than enough. We have Crystal Star for 220 damage, 2 water and a colorless energy. Not only are we dealing a ton of damage, but we're also preventing all effects and damage from your opponent's attacks done to this Glaceon in your next turn. So you're essentially saying, hey, I'm going to half hit one of your Pokemon, I'm going to do 220, maybe even knock out a V, and you are not going to be able to return the knockout next turn. It's simply impossible. Fantastic attacker, and when you consider the fact that it pairs quite nicely with Glaceon VMAX, the old VMAX card with Crystal Veil, which prevents all damage done to this Pokemon by Pokemon VMAX, this deck has a lot of options when it comes to attackers. We can also get our Glaceons in play very quickly using our Glaceon Vs. In my last video with Leafeon, someone paid me out for not having the alt arts of these particular cards, so you know what? I'm playing all alt arts today. There's nothing you can do to stop me. There's Glaceons. Look at him. He's on a little bench. Isn't that a cute one? Anyway, and we've also got in the deck a surprise, a Inteleon line. Sobble, Drizzile, and Inteleon, all very, very useful to get those Pokemon into play. Quick Ball, Level Ball, Evolution Incense, and Scoop Up Net, all very, very powerful cards and all very searchable with Drizzile. Now, we do have a couple of very interesting ways to accelerate energy in the deck. Obviously, with a water-type Pokemon, Melanie is an exceptional option. We can attach a water energy from our discard pile to one of our Pokemon V and then draw 3 cards. Very, very nice. And we've also got a couple of copies of EXP Share, and this one is a really, really interesting card that allows us to retain the energy that we have in play. I actually got this idea from Team Fish Knuckles, so if you want to check out his channel, go and do so. That would be brilliant. Yeah, a fantastic way of keeping energy in play. Frankly, I think Glaceon VSTAR is the one that I've had the most fun with. I'll show you a couple of games that I got on the ladder and prove to you that this thing's actually pretty good. Game time, and I've just realized that my camera is not necessarily correct. Ooh, sorry about that. I know that everyone hates the fact that my camera is awkward sometimes. There we go, I fixed that up. Hey, listen, we're playing against a Leafeon, maybe? I don't know exactly what we've got here. Anyway, that top deck's incredible. Grabbing us a Sobble, I'll attach a water energy and then use Frozen Awakening. Does that allow me to search for a Pokemon that evolves from Glaceon V? I'm going to go for the VMAX for the moment. I don't know what my opponent's playing, and if they are playing Leafeon, we might be able to lock them out with Crystal Veil. Potentially the case, although to be fair, I don't know exactly what we are looking at here. I'm going for the VSTAR, so obviously that's not going to work out, and we are being Marnied, so that's not a problem. We're playing against King Cygnus here. I recognize this name. He is a member of the Sableyes Discord. So if you too would like to become a member, then there's a link in the description. I think I check it so frequently. I really should do more of that, but I'm not a very good not a very good content creator. Let's quick ball away a water energy. We're going to grab another Glaceon here. We can throw that Glaceon down. We've got a Sobble too. We can actually play all of these cards. That's what I'm going to do, and then I'll attach to the Glaceon and pass. This is working really, really well. I mean, I spent a lot of time when I was talking through the deck profile saying that Glaceon's probably my favourite version, my favourite V-Star that has come out so far. Yet here I am, bricking with it. So that's not a particularly good sign. I was going to make myself a little bit bigger here. That's probably too big, to be honest. How about we go like that? There we go. It's all rough and raw today. You'll notice that my videos have been slightly less regular. This was supposed to come out yesterday, but I didn't record it in time, so I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to be better, but my schedule is kind of full at the moment, so, you know, it's what it is. We're going to play Pokemon regardless. I'm hoping that I can top deck into something amazing here, because I've kind of limited myself if I don't. If I don't draw into a card that can get me into more cards, I'm in trouble. So I'm looking for like Evo Incense, Level Ball, Drizzile. There's actually a ton of cards that I could pick up here. So let's see, we've got a Drizzile. Okay, we're playing the game. Let's search ourselves out a trainer card. I'm thinking it's going to be a draw supporter. It's either Marnie or Melanie. Let's go, actually, I should probably go with Melanie, because that way I will at least guarantee my energy attachment to the active. Not only that, we've drawn into 3 fantastic cards there. Let's max Icicle. I'm going to put 30 damage onto the Remoraid, force my opponent to try and evolve that this turn. If they don't get an Octillery, we'll be able to snag a free prize, but in saying that, they have just gone and grabbed one, which is, was always the way. The second that I said that if we get one, if our opponent misses, then we'll be able to do something. The second that I said that, we were in trouble. But hey, that's fine. We're going to be able to take a knockout on this Leafeon if they leave it in the active, but my gut feeling is that they probably want to start attacking with their Sylveon, although to be fair, they did just remove the Path of the Peak that would have allowed them to do that, so they actually can't attack with their VMAX Pokemon at the moment. Maybe a mistake from our opponent. Path of the Peak is a very interesting card in this list. I really like it. Obviously, you're trying to attack with the V-Star more often than not, and Path of the Peak doesn't really affect the V-Star. Obviously, the VMAX does rely on that particular ability, but it's not the end of the world to play the path down. Sometimes you try and convince your opponent to attack into you, which can potentially get you a winning situation. But yeah, we'll see what my opponent tries to do here. It looks like they are going to retreat into something. What that something is, though, I couldn't possibly tell you. I mean, it could be anything here. Maybe going into the Urshifu to strafe. That could potentially be a play. It looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. What they promote off of the strafe, though, I don't know. Maybe the VMAX? Maybe the VMAX. I don't have any way to get rid of their tool, so that will be stuck there forever. We are actually going to we're going to have to take a lot of knockouts to win this game. By the looks of things, but at least our opponent's going to be giving us the opportunity to do so. Now, we have Inteleon and a Marnie here, so it's not too difficult a turn in reality. Just a matter of where we want to place the Inteleon damage, to be brutally honest. I'm thinking that it's probably going to be fine to put that damage on Octillery. I mean, I don't know. Tell you what, we'll just play the cards, shall we? We don't need to think too hard about it. Let's just play the Marnie and we can figure out where that Inteleon's going to go later. We've got a Quick Ball, we've got a Scoop Up Net, and a Capture Energy. I think that these cards are all pretty solid. Let's play the Capture Energy down. We're going to grab ourselves another Sobble. I like that a lot. We'll also evolve into the VMAX. That is the attacker that we want to utilize, by the way. Let's Quick Shooting. I'm going to put that Quick Shooting damage. I'm going to put it somewhere. I don't know exactly where it's going to be. I think just the Octillery is fine. You can see my brain really struggling with that one for a moment. I'm also going to scoop up this Inteleon. I'll play the Sobble back down, play down the Drizzile as well. And that will guarantee us access to a supporter next turn. We'll grab, do we have, I think we can just grab Melanie. I think that's fine. I mean, we don't have water energy, but if our opponent does take a knockout, which they may do, then Melanie is not a bad one. And then we can use Glaceon to attack for 150 into the active, 30 onto that Octillery. Next turn, Max Icicle will knock out either a VMAX Pokemon in Sylveon, or it will knock out the Octillery on the bench. Interestingly enough, we could potentially get around Sylveon VMAX's ability from that tool card by using Inteleon to use quick shooting pings on that Sylveon, but it's being Marnied away, so we will not have the option to do that just yet. Maybe a little later on in the game. Although, to be fair, we might just want to attack into the Sylveon and take a KO at some point. We could just knock it out with our Glaceon VSTAR. That might be worth doing. It doesn't really matter if we take 2 prizes on this Sylveon if we're able to take another couple. And that's the benefit of playing with these VSTARs, right? Is it kind of skews the prize trade in your favor a little bit. You're allowed to put yourself in positions where you're allowed to take knockouts that maybe you wouldn't have been able to before. Alright, so our opponent has attacked into us with Urshifu. We are going to play down Path to the Peak. We're going to play down Drizzile here as well. We either grab ourselves a draw supporter, or if we're feeling very cheeky, we could grab Boss's Orders. I think we might do that, to be honest. We can also use our Evo Incense to grab that Inteleon back. I'll play that down. And then we've got a choice to make. I think I'm just going to take the 2 prizes on this Sylveon. It's the only attacker that I'm actually afraid of. If our opponent puts the Urshifu into the active and tries to attack with that, we can take a knockout on the VMAX before our opponent can take the remaining 6 prizes to win the game. So I think this is the best way to go. I'm going to use Drizzile one last time here thanks to Scoop Up Net. I'm going to grab a Marnie, and then my attack here will take a knockout on the active, and it will also knock out Octillery as well. So here is the position as I see it. Firstly, our opponent is going to want to take a knockout this turn. If they want to do that, they will need to attack with the Urshifu V or VMAX. There's not likely another way that they can do it. Maybe we shouldn't have played the Path to the Peak down when we did, but it's okay. If they attack with the VMAX, then we can send the VSTAR into the active, because we will have the energy from the EXP share. And then we can attack into the VMAX with our VSTAR attack, dealing 220 damage and preventing all of our opponent's attacks. That means that there is no way that our opponent could realistically win this game if that is what happens. Now, obviously, this relies on a number of factors. We need to have Boss's Orders. We need to have access to a 3-star Pokemon, which would be fantastic. If they don't evolve, we can simply knock out the Moltres or the Urshifu, and then use the Boss in our hand to knock out the Leafeon or the Octillery, which either would be fantastic. So, happy with either of those. Looks like they're going for the VMAX, though. They're probably going to Gale Thrust here. So they've fallen for the bait, hook, line, and sinker. We can choose one of these energies, move it onto the VSTAR, and then promote the VSTAR. We are going to be attacking here for 220 this turn. That is a good amount of damage to be dealing, especially when you prevent the damage from your opponent's attacks. I like that. I like that a lot. Alrighty, let's go with our quick shooting Inteleon. We are going to ping into the active Urshifu, get as much damage on there as possible. We'll try and deal a large chunk of damage, because if we do find ourselves in an awkward spot, the last thing we want is to miss the game because of like 20 damage. That would be unfortunate. We are going to go for a Drizzile here as well, and from that Drizzile we'll grab a Quick Ball. We'll just use that to thin out our hand a little bit. We don't need this Marnie. We might need another Glaceon, probably not, but it's fine to play down, I think. Then we can Melanie to it and put ourselves with another Inteleon. That's pretty good. I think we'll put that quick shooting damage. I don't think we need to put it anywhere else other than just the active, to be honest. So we'll throw that quick shooting damage down. We will put it onto the active Urshifu. And then we are going to use Crystal Star. I don't think we can lose from here. I think as long as firstly, our opponent doesn't do anything cheeky, and secondly, as long as our hand stays the same, we'll win the game. Now, to all of the people, if you've been watching the channel for a long time, as long as my hand stays the same, we need to make sure that our opponent doesn't play Marnie. Please don't play Marnie. Please don't play Marnie. If you play Marnie, I'm going to be very sad. I've been trying so much. King Sickness, please don't play Marnie. Please don't. Just let me have it. Oh my goodness, I'm stressing myself out. They cannot deal damage to this Glaceon here. So they're going to need to use a boss at some point. Now they have the Leafeon with its VSTAR ability, which is a free gust. They'll probably target the Glaceon V on the bench. That seems reasonable. The question is not do they have boss, but instead, do they have access to the supporter card Marnie? We wait. They've played research. Okay. Oh, alright. I think it's fine. I think from here on out we should be okay. Absolute worst case scenario. Our opponent brings up the Glaceon, hits into it, and we cannot get out of the active for some strange reason. At the moment, though, I feel like we should be fine. They're going to use G-Max Rapid Flow, probably knock out the Drizzile and the Sobble, but that doesn't matter. Since they've attacked and they're in the active, we can simply attach an energy using Melanie and retreat. So we will win this game. It's just a matter of clicking all the cards in the right order at this stage. Melanie gets the energy onto the active. Now we have the retreat cost. Well played to you, King Cygnus. Appreciate you coming past. Icicle Shot will take the knockout. And Glaceon VSTAR gets the first win on the channel since Tuesday. Weird thing to say. Alrighty, I don't know what it is about this particular deck that has meant that we've had such poor starts. I think it was the fact that I bigged it up in the deck profile and said that I liked it and that it was useful and enjoyable to play. We've had terrible opening hands here, but you'll notice our opponent is playing Shadow Rider Calyrex, and I bet that they do not have a reliable way to get through a Glaceon VMAX. So at some point in this game, as long as we can get a VMAX in play, we should be able to lock our opponent out of the game, either entirely or at least for long enough to get those 6 prizes before they can take their 6. Now, remember, we can force our opponent to go through 3 Pokemon here. They have to attack through 2 V-Stars and a VMAX. So we can force that to happen. We don't necessarily have the same problem on our side of the board. We should be able to just take some knockouts. Now, our hand is atrocious, but at least Glaceon has the Frozen Awakening attack to allow us to evolve into Glaceon VMAX here. If we didn't have that, we might actually have lost. It's as simple as that. F-Man86 may have just absolutely trounced us there, but luckily we've managed to find the Glaceon. Now, our opponent will be able to get a ton of energy in play here. They have 3 Calyrex ready to go. Their big problem, however, will be that they don't realistically have a way to get through the Crystal Veil ability. They are attaching their energy to their VMAXs. The only way that they can really get through is if they have a Path to the Peak, and honestly, Path to the Peak is really bad for Shadow Rider Calyrex. They're not likely to have that stadium card at all, so we should be fine. We should be fine. But again, it's a matter of how our opponent sets up, and to be honest, they are actually setting up really, really well. They're not going to be able to attack this turn. They don't have enough energy in order to do that, nor do they have any way to turn our ability off. But we can only deal 150 per turn. They can deal way more than that. So we'll have to be on the lookout for a possible way to beat the VMAX here. At the moment, though, it does not look like they will be able to do it. We've got to capture energy off of the top deck. I'm going to play that down, and I'll grab myself. I think it's just going to have to be a Sobble. I mean, we have to try and do something. We've got Boss's Orders in our hand, but we don't need to play it. Instead, I will just max Icicle and ping some damage onto the benched Shadow Rider Calyrex. 30 damage actually very, very important for us. It means that in 2 more attacks, we could potentially knock that Calyrex on the bench out, which I really quite like. Now, look at this. Our opponent has all 4 of their Shadow Riders in play. That is an exceptional place for them to be. That is all of the energy that they'll ever need in play. They can get it just like that with a click of their fingers. Here comes a Crobat. They'll be looking for a V Pokemon or something that isn't a VMAX to attack with, but at the moment it doesn't look like they have too much, which I like. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that. Also, if you're a big fan, let me know what deck I should be looking at next. We've got a lot of interesting cards that are still floating around that I haven't really touched on. Chandelure VMAX is jumping out at me. I don't know why. I just feel it in my heart. Maybe it's time to play with that card. Potentially, well, here's the thing, right? If you know PTCGO, you know that the decks that people on YouTube play tend to get played a lot. So, like, when Mahone plays Leafeon, and when Little Dark Fury plays Leafeon, those decks get absolutely ground into the dirt. So maybe Chandelure is a good deck to be playing at the moment. Let's try and win some games off of the other YouTube content creators influencing the meta. We will see how that goes. I don't know if they really... I don't know if it's really that big of an influence. Do they actually? I don't know. I mean, I never see the decks that I play, but I'm not particularly popular, so... I mean, I'm relatively popular. I mean, you're here. Thank you, by the way. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for coming along this fine evening. You can tell, by the way, that it is late. As I check the time, I can't check the time because it's my phone. It's got the clock on it. It's late. It's late where I am as I'm recording this. I'm actually recording it on the day that it's going out, which is Friday for me, and I think it's about 10:30, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, 10:30 seems about right, and that means that this video needs to go up in an hour and 30 minutes, and I'm still recording it. It's my turn. Okay, we've got Drizzile off the top deck. That is incredible. We are going to throw down the Path of the Peak now. That is a bit of a bait for our opponent. We're going to try and bait them out to do something silly. Let's attack with Max Icicle, put some pressure on, we'll put some more damage down, and see whether they can bring out their attacker. I grabbed a Sobble. I was meant to grab a Glaceon there, but it's fine. It's fine. This seems like a really bad play. Anyway, what I'm thinking is 20 damage is all that is left on the active Calyrex to get a knockout. Then, if we can get a little bit of extra bonus damage onto the benched one, then we should be good and ready to go. Let's see what we find here. We're going to need to do something now. I mean, I can't just sit back and do nothing. Let's go for the Drizzile. We'll grab ourselves a trainer card, thanks to shady dealings. I'm thinking that it might be a... I mean, we've got a Quick Ball in hand, right? Quick Ball's obviously a good choice, but let's not use that just yet. I am instead going to search for the Capacious Bucket. The reason for that is I definitely want to get another Glaceon in play, and just as definitely, I want to have an energy attached to it. So we are going to search out some energy with Capacious Bucket. We will place one of those energies onto Glaceon. Then I'll play Marnie. What I'm really looking for here is EXP Share or Melanie. And in this hand, we actually have both. EXP Share coming through for us, and also Drizzile, a very important card if we need it. I won't use it just yet. Let's knock out that benched Calyrex, and hopefully these prizes are good. I don't know what I'm doing this time. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this weird bobbly-headed personnel? I don't know what is going on. Why am I? What is this? Our opponent's going to knock us out this turn. We're going to put one of the energies from the Glaceon onto our Glaceon V on the bench. We have the Evo Incense in our hand, and the Path to the Peak is worked perfectly there. We have baited our opponent into thinking that we've got nothing. We can move an energy onto the Glaceon. We have an energy in hand. We have an Evo Incense in hand. That means all we need to do is promote the correct Pokemon and we win the game. Glaceon into the active, we can attach an energy, we can use Evo Incense to search out the star of the show, Glaceon VSTAR, and then I think it's only right, ladies and gentlemen, that we utilize the Crystal Star VSTAR Power Attack to take the knockout. 3 prizes. Thank you very much, Fman86. It has been a pleasure doing business with you. So there you go, another big one. Thank you very much for coming past and checking out Glaceon VSTAR. If you want to see the other VSTAR deck, Leafeon in action, click this link. It'll take you straight to the video. Enjoy that one as well. Thank you very much, all of my members. It's a bit of a thinner list now, but it's definitely the real ones. You stuck around. Appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Catch ya.